Cubans are grappling with a nationwide blackout. Lights went out yesterday evening after the country's main electrical grid failed. And the few that came back on, well, they went out again this morning. CBC's Albert De La Talla has the details.
Another setback for those power restoration efforts in Cuba this morning. The Cuba Electrical Union says that another total outage happened this morning at around 6:15 Eastern. It posted on Telegram that it is working to establish that power. Officials had said before that parts of Havana that they had had their power restored, but now a setback to those efforts. Meanwhile, most of Cuba's nearly 11 million people still remain in the dark. Already regular power outages in Cuba worsened in recent months and became critical yesterday. So the communist government yesterday, they closed schools and non-essential industry and sent many state workers home, but that wasn't enough. And just before noon, the country's largest power plant, it went offline and triggered that total grid failure. Earlier in the week, the Prime Minister, he said that those worsening blackouts were the result of a perfect storm of factors, including deteriorating infrastructure, rising demand, and fuel shortages. In terms of fuel shortages, those deliveries, they have dropped this year with Venezuela, Russia, and Mexico reducing their exports to Cuba. Officials say strong winds from Hurricane Milton, they also hampered deliveries to the island nation. There is concern if those power outages continue, that could mean that food spoils as those refrigerators on the island continue to be without power. Also, water supply a concern for people since electricity in many cases is required for that. Tourism, it is one of the biggest industries in Cuba, and in fact, it's the third biggest destination for Canadians, according to data from Stats Canada from the first quarter of this year. We have heard from Air Canada on this. They say they are monitoring the situation and that they don't have any flights to or from Cuba today. We also heard from Global Affairs Canada. They say they are watching what's happening in Cuba, and they say, quote, that they stand ready to provide consular assistance to Canadians as needed. Albert De La Talla, CBC News, Toronto.
The blackout comes as Tropical Storm Oscar moves towards the island. That storm is now just under 800 kilometers east of Cuba with sustained winds of over 60 kilometers per hour. Tropical storm warnings are in effect over parts of the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, and eastern Cuba.